Well, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our next session of FastTRAC. If this is your first one, I think you're in for a real treat here. We're going to go over a lot of technology today, from Mist to Cloud Ingenuity's AI-driven mobile app when it comes to wayfinding and asset tracking. That was a mouthful. I got through that one. And what's exciting about today is that we've been talking in the past about all these different technologies and what we call the journey. And Sam will review that in a minute with us to bring us to this point where you could see some real live applications. And we have these experts on the phone as well that have been through these implementations. And so we're going to really have a good session today. Now, what I wanted to do was talk about a little bit of feedback we've gotten around how these sessions mostly have been talking about back to the office, back to school, and around COVID, and that what happens after COVID. So you're going to hear a lot about that today. These solutions are here not just for a COVID response, but what happens even after COVID and we get back to some kind of normalcy and some of the challenges we're facing, as well as some of the enhancements that we can deliver to our customers to make their office space, their school space, either more safe or more of a good user experience. So just a little bit about Securematics, because I'd be remiss not talking about us. We are a Juniper distributor, and more than that, we do marketing as well. We're very much focused on Juniper. A lot, I'd say 70% of our business is Juniper. That's a little bit unusual for a distributor, but we're really focused on security, network, wireless, and infrastructure. So we like to pride ourselves on the fact that we can go very deep with Juniper and Mist. Also, we do have other product lines that fit more of the mid-market, Sonic Wall for one, Pulse Secure, and we have Ruckus Wireless as well. But we definitely lead with Juniper and Mist. So what I wanted to do at this point, since we have such a packed agenda, I'd like to pass it over to Sam. Sam is a consultant in the industry. We retain him at Securematics to really take us through our own personal journey here at Securematics, getting our office ready, like I've mentioned in other webinars, other FastTRACs. And he's going to go through a little bit of the agenda and introduce some of the players. So Sam, why don't you take it away, please?
Okay, thanks, Brian. And again, as always, everybody, I really appreciate your time that you're spending with us today. And as you can see, this is session 6. It's been really great kind of going over again our COVID response, which we called the journey. And last week, if you joined us, we talked about IoT and we talked about IOB, Internet of Things and Internet of Behaviors. This week, we're going to, as Brian said, we're going to dive a little deeper. We're going to jump into Juniper Mist location services, and that's going to be presented by Ron. And then we're going to shift gears and we're going to go on over to Cloud Ingenuity, and we're going to talk about their specific wayfinding app that they've developed using Mist, Juniper Mist Premium Analytics. And then finally, as you can see, questions and answers. So before we dive into the journey and just a little bit of a recap, we've got a little poll to start things off. Okay, well, that's great. Looks like we've got about 82% somewhat familiar and 18% very familiar. That's really great to see. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and jump right in. So we started this program and these solutions really focused around the COVID response. And what we realized is there's all these great solutions out there but they were kind of siloed, and you really need to get somebody from home, to the front door of a facility or a school or workplace you need to go ahead and, or preferably do some type of health screening at that point, possibly facial recognition. And then once they pass, you need to let them enter the premise, the premise. And then once on the premise, then you have to be able to deal with contact tracing and congestion monitoring. So that was really the premises of our entire solution, very modular. But again, beginning to end. Today, let's just go ahead into the next slide. I'm not going to focus on the whole COVID-19 response so much, but this thing called the Internet of Things. I'm sure a lot of us on the call, we've been hearing a whole bunch of things around Internet of Things, IoT. Well, just to kind of, level set things, we have to start here. And, just in case you don't know, the Internet of Things it's a bunch of devices that are actually connected to a network. And we're getting all of these data feeds from all of these various devices. And then, basically this is feeding what the industry likes to call big data. Of course, there's other components that are feeding big data, but once we collect all this data, probably the most important step is this data has to be analyzed, and then we can take some type of action based on this analysis. So last week, we talked a little bit more about IoT and we dove into that, but I just thought I'd toss a few fun facts out there for everybody. So during 2020, experts estimate the installation of 31 billion IoT devices. 31 billion, quite a few. 2025, or let's start this year, 2021, 35 billion IoT devices will be installed worldwide. By 2025, more than 75 billion IoT devices will be connected to the web. That's quite a few. The industrial IoT market size should reach 124 billion. And then finally, the global IoT healthcare market should reach 14 billion. So as you can see, IoT is not going to go away anytime soon. Go ahead and go to the next slide. Here's just a picture of, a visualization of IoT. And as you can see, there's a number of devices up here. And there's basically 5 categories of IoT. There's consumer IT, such as light fixtures, home appliances, and voice assistants for the elderly. There's commercial IoT. This would be, specific to healthcare, the transportation industry, such as smart pacemakers, monitoring systems, and vehicle-to-vehicle communication. There's industrial Internet of Things. That's a good one, IIoT, including digital control systems, statistical evaluation, smart can't even say that one, industrial big data, and smart agriculture. And then finally, infrastructure IoT, which enables connectivity of smart cities. This would be including sensors, management systems, user-friendly apps, and actually finally is military things, which of course is the military field, such as robots for surveillance, human wearables, biometrics for combat. So pretty broad categories. And then let's go ahead and go to the next thing. So next slide. So the reason I wanted to just kind of do a real quick recap of IoT is what we're really talking about here is IOB, which is a subset of Internet of Things. So Internet of, and why we care about Internet of Behaviors is that's really about this personalization of all these devices. And, originally IOB was created to basically drive consumer choice. It was, various applications that did a person walk up to an advertisement, dwell there, and then go buy that particular thing. So, and here's just kind of an interesting thing that I stated last week is IOB influences consumer choice, but it also redesigns the value chain. While a majority of consumers aren't happy to give away their data for free, they are satisfied with doing so as long as it brings them added value. So thought that was kind of interesting. Let's go to the next slide. So just to kind of recap, I pulled some of this information from Gartner, and what's really interesting about all of this is for their top 2021 technology trends, they've got these 3 swim lanes here, as you can see, and sure enough, Internet of Behaviors is right there, top left. What I find really interesting is really with the entire Juniper Mist technology solution set and many of these other technologies, we're hitting a whole bunch of these swim lanes. As you can see, AI engineering, distributed cloud, total experience. So I thought it was kind of interesting that I thought we're right in line with what Gartner says the top trends for 2021 are. And then let's go ahead and go to the next slide. So this is kind of a neat sign from, or I guess, infographic from Gartner. And as you can see, they define total experience. And total experience combines multi-experience, customer experience, employee experience, and user experience to transform the business outcome. So the goal is to improve the overall experience where all of these pieces intersect, from technology to employees to customers and users. And I had to look this up myself because I wasn't sure, but multi-experience refers to devices and apps that users can interact with on their digital journey across various touch points, such as physical touch, voice, and gesture. And the reason that one kind of hopped out to me is because, again, this is exactly what we were doing for this COVID-19 response, but there's other, many other applications that we can use this technology for. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide. So I ran through all that stuff really, really fast. So again, if anybody has a question or something pops up, feel free to enter a question in the chat and we'll just answer things as we go. This is supposed to be super interactive, so don't be shy. But the reason I wanted to stop right here and kind of focus on this particular slide is because we should all care about this. And what this is really saying is, really, for the first time in my memory, CEOs are actually willing to fund risky or innovative technology solutions. So as you can see here, so digital innovation, experimental risky or risky IT activities, for the first time, we can actually go and get funded for this stuff. So super important. We all want that funding component. So at that point, I'm going to stop for a second. I ran through that really quick. So again, just wanted to do kind of a recap from last week. And let's have another poll. Maybe.
Well, Sam, I did have a question come through.
Okay.
Someone asked, is it still my data if some AI application consolidated my disparate data into a logical view of who I am as a consumer?
That's actually a great question. I'm not a lawyer, so I won't pretend to be a privacy lawyer, but my experience has been that most of these devices you're connecting to or through is with an application, and every one of those applications has a term of service. So you're probably agreeing to give away your data anyway. So, I mean, if you were concerned about it, I would probably start there. But yeah, that would be a very much use by use case as far as, is it your data? So I hope that hopefully that answers it.
Yeah, I think so. Thanks, Sam.
Okay. Have you used an app for wayfinding and or asset tracking? 58% yes, 42% no. So that's pretty interesting. We've got more than half who have used these types of apps. So that's a great way. I wanted to segue to Ron, and Ron can go ahead and dive into Juniper location services specifically. We can do it. Yep, there you go.
Thanks, Sam. I appreciate it. So Ronamento, I'm the partner account manager here in Central for Mist and Juniper. And I want to start off with talking a little bit about what we provide here foundational-wise to support these different location services. So first and foremost, we just finished up 2020. We had a great year here, doubling the business, doubling the number of customer logos that we've had out there. And it's really about what we did to change that paradigm. So looking at the network, not through the lens of those elements on the network, but based upon user experience. So complete visibility into what we have from our user crowd, how they're performing, baselining that performance, and be able to provide trouble resolution here very quickly when they're not connected. We're able to do this because we've changed the architecture. So we're delivering on a modern architecture, unlike the other folks that are working on these legacy systems. Based upon that architecture, we're also able to truly leverage artificial intelligence here and machine learning to correlate all of this different data that we're able to pull in to give us that mean time to innocence or mean time to resolution. But something else that we provide here as well, and perhaps sometimes don't talk about much, or sometimes it gets glossed over, is this whole thing or concept of digital engagement as part of that user experience. So let's move on to the next slide. So we did finish here. Many of you probably are aware of this on top of the Magic Quadrant for wired and wireless. There also is another Magic Quadrant out there for location, which again, Juniper and Mist have performed very well on, leading the visionary quadrant here in that particular scenario. So with location, we do have a very unique technology. When Bob Friday, our founder, was looking at what to do to provide these new user experiences, one component of that was to kind of do location with ease and at scale. We've all been chasing this blue dot here for, I think, quite a while, or at least maybe in the early days of even Wi-Fi. But Bob said, let's take what is a given technology that exists essentially in the hands of everybody today, that being Bluetooth, and allow us to deliver these location services here easily. And what he did is invent this it's a 17 element antenna array with BLE, because we do have an omnidirectional BLE radio in there as well. But this 16 element array sits on top of most of our APs and allows us to bathe an area in Bluetooth. So we deliver this energy in 8 different directions. With a Wi-Fi deployment or leveraging additional Bluetooth antenna array devices, we kind of just cover this facility with this Bluetooth energy. Now taking artificial intelligence and machine learning, in this case we say unsupervised machine learning, the system now learns this location capability here based upon users coming into that environment with the different BLE devices that we know, like iPhones and Android devices or whatever else might be being used from a handheld perspective. At the end of the day, this allows us to get scale and not have to go in and calibrate these systems to get this level of location accuracy. Provide additional services information like location analytics. How are people in my facility? How are they consuming that facility? And when they are there, how do I actually engage with them? Historically, this service has been a battery-based beacon that's not managed by the network. Also, we know that batteries do go bad. They kind of get lost in the crowd here. So oftentimes a deployment will maybe start off with a number of batteries and somewhere down the road have about half of those that are deployed, therefore rendering this particular solution or what they're searching for from a business outcome standpoint irrelevant or unusable. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide. So we talk about location. As I mentioned, we've kind of been chasing this blue dot, it seems like, for quite a while, probably starting off with healthcare. We have all these different modalities in a healthcare facility. So how do I understand how to consume this building? How do I get from the front door to radiology? Because typically healthcare was always a building on top of a building. But now as wireless has become more pervasive, as Wi-Fi is everywhere, as that density of Wi-Fi has driven this need or suggestion of opportunity to leverage location capabilities, it's coming up really in every single vertical. So we have the different personas, for example, within retail and hospitality, from a shopper or a hotel visitor, but it really can exist beyond that. How do I leverage this location to now apply to my associates here as well? So we want to know things like in retail, where are my shoppers? How are they consuming this? How long are they sitting within this particular department, for example? In enterprise, how are people consuming my facility? Probably the biggest or second biggest expense that you have within an enterprise is your facilities outside of your human resources. So if we're spending a bunch of money on that and it's being consumed partially outside of obviously the COVID-19 era when most people aren't even there, period, that's a different story. But again, how are people consuming this facility, and can I change how I'm actually managing this brick and mortar that people are working in? Education, faculty, staff, admin, IoT devices that we can look at and how they're being used there as well. So very simple things like attendance monitoring, who's on campus, but also how are they consuming my campus? Which classrooms are full constantly, and how are people getting from classroom to classroom to know how I can maybe make some changes here outside of that academic year. And then, of course, healthcare, that obvious one, right? How many people are around? How can I find different assets and those sorts of things? Next slide. So maybe double clicking on this a little bit more, what is a better experience with these killer app use cases? So like with retail, for example, the wayfinding capability as I go through some of the bigger box locations. How do I optimize path? Provide notifications here when I am in facility. Me being a guy that has gone to Best Buy every once in a while, they send me coupons, which when I go in, I forget to consume. If I can actually put that coupon on my phone, and when I walk into Best Buy saying, hey, you have $5 off this purchase, probably would incent me to consume that or find something to purchase so I can leverage my coupon there. Or alternatively, outside of just simple wayfinding and Blue Dot, within a Best Buy, they get a lot of money from Sony and Samsung for their particular setups in those stores. It'd be great to know actually how many people are sitting in a Samsung area or an Apple area or a Sony area, so that now we can go back to those particular vendors and say, we think that we're going to charge more for you to be in this particular area today, because we can tell you right now that this has the highest traffic area within our store here today. Also things like what we say is the Uber experience. So Target has taken out all of their red phones in their stores because nobody's using them anymore. And actually what they're doing, instead of trying to find an associate, is just leave or not ask to find that product. Now can they make a request on their Target app and then actually have an associate show up there and see them actually approaching them so that they can assist them with the questions that they would have. On the enterprise side, as I mentioned, we see that from a consumption standpoint. Company I've worked with here, an engineering and professional services firm, spends $80 million on their facilities. Actually, if they now look at it, they're seeing that their consumption of those facilities pre-COVID was somewhere in the 50% range. And as they look at renewing leases here every single year for a portion of those district managers are always asking for new space because we're going to grow. Now they have and are armed with that data to not only not say you need more space and we'll spend more money, but you can actually reduce that footprint. Imagine what a savings of 10% would be off of that facility budget of $80 million, right? You don't have to imagine, it's just $8 million, right? So it's a big number and certainly can help fund what we would look at from a location capability. Also with an enterprise, we can say manufacturing. What about authorization area? So we work with a customer here that had done avionics, right? Some of that avionics goes into DoD equipment, some of it goes into civilian aviation. So if we have somebody that's in there that's not authorized to go into what would be those secret areas, if somebody does broach into it, have some kind of notification to say that this is actually happening, and then the security team can come into play. Education, we talk about wayfinding here. How are people consuming that? Classroom check-in, which historically has been kind of a manual approach. Also doing things here now too from a student safety. Unfortunately, we talk about things like active shooter. Who is in there still? Where are those people? And how do I get access to them based upon the situation that we have right now? Or things like even push notification on a college campus. We have a lecturer coming in, please sign up for it. Or we're actually trying to clear out the cafeteria before the end of the semester, so hot dogs or pizza slices are 2 for 1. And then healthcare, as we say, always seems to kind of be that obvious one here for us with the Blue Dot. Healthcare facilities over-purchase their different equipment or medical devices by 30% or so because they just can't find it, or nurses hoard it. Now, how do I make that buy less, make me more efficient with the assets that I have in my facility? And again, things like finding wheelchairs and that Uber effect that can come into play there as well. Next slide. So, we kind of say, and you don't want to use that term, right? But the app that's kind of driven a whole lot more discussion or use case here around location services has certainly been proximity-based tracing. And what we have here with Mist Juniper is that ability to address this on these different modalities, not only of Wi-Fi, which provides limited location capability or not as accurate, but to take that here into the Bluetooth space. So we have Wi-Fi connected, unconnected, but also Bluetooth app-based, as well as asset management based to see where these particular devices are. So we can do things now like contact tracing, journey mapping, congestion notification here, and allow people to even self-police what they're seeing as they work their way into this facility or want to consume that facility. So really kind of buttoning down what we can do from a location-based service standpoint on existing technology that many customers have used today. So we talk about one of our big wins with this one, that being MIT. MIT was going to do a refresh here of their existing Wi-Fi infrastructure, but at the same time said, I want to understand how I can do contact tracing and journey mapping here through my facility so that I'm not only providing an insurance policy as people report back, but make this a safe campus, knowingly a safe campus. So with that, they said, this is the solution that we need to have with Mist Juniper, not only leveraging a Wi-Fi infrastructure, but what we can do around Bluetooth and app-based capabilities. So big win for us, and certainly things that we're seeing here, not only adopted within the education space, but how do I leverage this here across those different verticals that we talked about? I think that's my last slide. And then we transition over and let's see this in action here from the team there at Cloud Ingenuity, showing that application base being used.
Thanks, Ron. That was great. Yep, I think you're good. And so at this point, like Ron said, we would like to kind of put this all together and actually show you a wayfinding app put together by Cloud Ingenuity. And with that, I'd like to introduce Charlie Bullum from Cloud Ingenuity, who's the SVP of Sales and Marketing.
Hey, Charlie, I think you are muted. Oh, there you go. Still can't hear you, Charlie.
All right. Yep. Seems like we might be having some technical difficulties on Charlie's end there. Matt, did you want to hop on?
Hey guys, this is Matt. Can you hear me okay?
Yep. Can hear you loud and clear.
All right. Well, let's see here. Well, it's nice to meet everyone. Charlie Bullum, Senior Vice President. He's having some difficulties with some Bluetooth issues in his area over there. So I'll just jump on real quick. I am the Senior Architect for Cloud Integration Solutions at Cloud Ingenuity, also software engineer. And we've got this great application that I want to show you. I'll go ahead and just dive right in. Let me share my application screen with you. I'm going to share a live demo from my desktop using a live device. So I won't be wandering around the office and running around, but you'll get a pretty good picture of exactly what's going on there. Let me just bring this up here. Okay. All right. So, GoToMeeting is asking me for some permissions here. 1 second. All right. Later. Okay. So you guys can hear me. Good. That's all I need. And let me share my screen here. All right. 1, 2. Here we are. Excellent. All right, here comes the screen share. See here, if I could find the button and go to meeting, that'd be really cool. Let's see, go to meeting and share my webcam. I see here, I don't see a button to share my desktop on this here. Looking for it right now. Any guidance would be helpful to find this share button.
Yep, there should be on the right-hand side, there's a sharing
There we go.
drop-down menu.
All right. Yep, got it right there. And sharing. So let's see here. I clicked the sharing and looks like we hit the play button too. Pause. Okay, here we go. Let me know if you guys can see my screen at all.
Not yet.
Okay, I've hit the share button. Let's see. All right. Am I allowed to present? I should be allowed to present.
Yep, you are the presenter.
Okay. I have my camera on as well. You can see my face.
See your webcam.
All right, so that's good. All right, and I did hit the sharing button. And just make sure I have permissions for this because no one can see. Click to start sharing screen. I'm starting to share screen. I may need to just quickly in 1 second here disconnect and reconnect for permissions. Give me about 10 seconds here. I'll be right back. I'm just going to go ahead and open up my invite for today, and then I will join the webinar. I'm going to be right back in 1 second here. Apologize for the delay here.
See, that's the fun part about these live sessions. You just don't know what you're always going to get. A little bit of fun.
Yeah. All right, he's jumping
In the
back
meantime, when he's
okay, I'm back on.
he's coming back. Oh, there we go. That was quick.
Yep, I do not have a share button for. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't have a share button available.
Okay. Just made you the presenter again. You should have it now.
All right. There we go. Main screen. Here we go. I didn't have this before. Awesome.
Perfect.
Excellent. Thank you. All right. Show my screen. Here we go. Everyone should be able to see your application window. Excellent. Thanks for the patience, guys.
Looks
really
great.
appreciate it. Oh, awesome. Well,
Looks
it is
good.
Apple Maps. Okay, without further ado, again, this is Cloud Ingenuity's location services. This is a lot of fun for me. Thanks for letting me present. We have a full Apple Maps integration in order to be able to find locations, wayfind them from outside. Say you're just trying to go to your main site, you would want to wayfind to your main site by selecting a location. These are all Cloud Ingenuity main locations and test locations. What this is fully organized information on exactly what's available to search for at Cloud Ingenuity. These are all the rooms and all the different places you can go inside our main office. And what we can do is we can simply just take a look at the actual indoor map. We have a multi-floor overview page here, and these are live dots. This is live IoT information, gives us a live view of what is on the floor right now, clustered. There's yellow dots in there. Those are defined assets. This is just a quick live view of what's going on at Cloud Ingenuity's main office. I can hit that again and go into our famous API map. This map is being taken from Mist. This is coming directly from Mist, and it is fully 3D interactive. What we can do here is we can take a look at how many people are on the floor. Now, given we just saw an IoT view, we have special algorithms that determine what are people. And we have in between a 95 and 98% accuracy rating that we've measured on college campuses to determine how many people are inside of a room, on a floor, in a building, to help us understand population density in the midst of the current climate. Not to mention, you're able to actually tap each one and get basic information. This information is public. It's being broadcast by the device. As Ron mentioned earlier, IoT devices are broadcasting constantly, and Mist is collecting that information for better use. And we're utilizing that information and putting it in the palm of your hand and saying, okay, well, what's this over here? Who's this? Okay, this is someone's S10, right? So we're able to see that loud and clear. On top of it, we can actually take a look at defined assets. Defined assets are what you define in the Mist portal as as a Bluetooth asset. These are actual badges connected to and attached to actual IT equipment. This over here is an actual robot that we have in the corner. He's got an actual lanyard hanging from his neck, and this dot is within 3 feet of that robot. And this one is an expensive IT asset we have, our Polycom Centro campfire. It is, it's a whole bunch of gear, and we've attached a Bluetooth signature to it. So if it leaves the building, we know when it's gone. And this is real time and automatic. Other features include global asset search. So you just saw them on the map, but if you wanted to search through an entire campus and take a look at anything that's global, you're able to do it right here on this screen right here. I'm having a little bit of a network issue right here. 1 second here. I'm just going to go ahead and restart it to save time. I don't want to wait for it to complete. So anyway, here's our asset screen. We're able to take a look at these assets, and you can actually hit them and see them globally anywhere. I'm going to do something incredible here, and I'm going to switch to University Texas Arlington, and I'm going to show you a global asset search across all campus. Let's go ahead and hit assets here, refresh. Got to get all the maps from the college first, and I'll go ahead and hit assets, and I'll bring up every single asset on this entirely huge college campus. We have the ability to see whether they're offline or online in real time. We had a badge that we were testing, and we took it offline, and as soon as it's registered in the portal, it needs to be seen. If it hasn't been seen for over 5 minutes, we consider it to be offline. Either the Bluetooth element has ceased to function or it's off-site. And for example, we can actually go ahead and hit this Meetup soft remote. I just found this Meetup soft remote, randomly tapped it, and it is on the 6th floor in the library. This is a real-time location, and again, another beautiful API map for you to take a look at. And this is totally moddable too. I'll get into that in a second. So we're able to see assets globally, people's population density locally, and we're able to see just exactly how many people are going to be in each building and on each floor. And we're looking for unconnected clients and all wireless clients, and then we actually filter them out and find out how many people are actually there. So right now at UTA, there are at least 1,485 people on campus, almost 3,000 IoT devices, and 705 people polling for a signal, looking around, not connected, reconnecting. And we can actually drill down into each section of the college and see, okay, the library looks like it's got some heavy population. We can actually look at each floor and see firsthand, okay, here's the devices, the people on each floor, and we can see what's publicly being broadcast. And again, simply enough, we're able to just find any one of these. I'm going to find a specific one here. I have a friend there. Here she is. I'm going to tap this right here, and I'll be able to see exactly within 30 feet, since this is Wi-Fi location, this individual right here on the floor directly in real time. All right, super fun. Without further ado, I'll take you back to wayfinding at Cloud Ingenuity. So we've just reached our main campus here, Cloud Ingenuity, and we want to wayfind, say, to the training room, which is a great place to go. I'm just going to find the training room and hit this wayfinding button here. It's going to locate me directly, and it will give me a nice little overview of where I need to go. There we are. This little floor, I'm just about there. This little view here is more of an estimation. It gives people a great idea of where they are in the building, where they need to go just by overview. And I'll just hit go. And here we are. We have this awesome reactive, fully controlled. It feels like it's part of your phone actually when you're using it. And it turns based on the direction that you're turning to help you wayfind. And you can just, I'm not gonna, my phone's actually tethered to my desk, so I can't exactly walk across the office, but basically this is it. You would be able to walk the path and get to the training room in the corner there with a little marker. Each experience is the same for each floor. This is multi-floor compatible, so if you've got 6 floors in one building, it will automatically determine the next map for you when you enter that floor. If you're going from the 6th floor to the 5th floor, it will automatically switch maps and give you multiple wayfinding paths. If you lose your signal, it will still remember where you're at when you exit and reconnect. And we've had great success with this over at the university, this internal multi-floor wayfinding technique. Super fun to use, actually. Just, it feels really great. It feels like it's part of the phone. I'll hit end so you can see the actual mini map right here. It's actually just a lot of fun. I'll do one other quick demo for you, and that's management of this map. I'm going to bring up the managed portal for Mist. And this is super awesome because this makes it so everybody can manage their maps easily without any artwork going on. You don't have to update you don't have to call a map provider. You can simply go into Cloud Ingenuity or your live view and modify your floor plan. So I want to get rid of the training. Let's say the training room is under construction. I'll just delete it. I'll just go into beacons and zones, hit my training room and remove it. I'll hit save. I'm going to go back to the application. Yes, back to the application. I will refresh the map here for us. I'll just go right back into the map so you can see what it looks like. And there's no more training room. This is the same for wayfinding paths, walls, floors. If you want people to walk in a certain direction and not go around a certain part of the office or certain part of the building, you remove the wayfinding paths from it, and the application is completely reactive and will update itself. I'll go ahead and add the training room back and rename it so you know it's totally dynamic. We'll just draw a box here where the room's supposed to go, and we'll rename it to Training Room Part 2 because the first one has been deleted. We want to see the name refresh on the screen. All right, back to the application. I'll go ahead and refresh, and you'll see it again. Just go ahead and take a look. All right, there we go. Now you have a solution that you can modify, manage, and reorder and make any which way you want to give your people the best experience when they're looking for things. There is another feature for multi-floor wayfinding. I'll go back to the college and I will show you multi-floor wayfinding. I've taken the liberty of planting myself digitally at the library. Since I'm not there, we have a static location set up for ourselves in order to show you just exactly what multi-floor wayfinding looks like here. And I'll go from one building to another. What I'm going to do is travel from the second floor of the library to the basement of Netterman Hall, which is a completely different building. I'm just going to pick any room in the basement, and what will happen is it's going to find me in the library, and then it's going to give me a multi-floor overview of the entire journey. This is a three-dimensional multi-floor wayfinding path. It will take me from the second floor in the library to the first floor out the front door. There's an outdoor path that it will transition to, and then take me into Netterman Hall from the front door, and then to the elevator down to the basement room that I was interested in traveling to. I'll hit go. Even though I'm not there, it'll still show the second floor of the library where I've crafted myself a location. There's me virtually at the library. I'll just hit end so you can take a look. I'd like to bring up Netterman Hall as well so you can take a look at a fully scaled map that is tens of thousands of square feet and a multi-floor view of the entire building. This is what a multi-floor view looks like when you're taking an overview of density using all the data from the Mist portal. And again, we can just drill down into it and see the actual floor itself. Everything is perfectly scaled. It's automated. The pictures don't have to be a specific size to be uploaded to the Mist portal. Auto scaling and pixels per meter take care of making sure every experience is the same. 1 meter is 1 meter. It looks the same. You can see the dots are even scaled perfectly. So we've got like a nice pretty view. Netterman Hall looks a little bit empty today, actually. Not very many people there, and there are no assets in there. So you've got yourself multi-floor wayfinding, asset tracking globally, and population density from the palm of your hand. And I'll go back to Cloud Ingenuity. This is a multi-tenant application. If you have many sites, multiple sites, it will consume them all. If you have multiple organizations, it will consume them all. We protect the application via tokening and security. Anyone utilizing the application locally to your business will have a hard key that they need to consume in the app that will unlock this fully secure API after they register a username and password. Full multi-factor authentication is in place, utilizing the email and phone number. And then we have full security on top of the AWS 256 SHA encryption to keep everything fully secure. Any data that's stored there is under that level of security, and any data that's stored in Mist can only be accessed with those 3 tiers of security when they're all in place. So With that being said, I will happily pause for questions right here. And thanks for letting me demo.
Thanks, Matt. I actually do have more a comment than a question, but somebody said, I actually used this wayfinding app back in 2019 at the Swan Hotel at Disney. It worked well to navigate around the hotel to get to the various training rooms as well as get notifications. We actually do have a video on this hotel that we can show once you're done with your demo. But
I am finished. I'll disconnect my monitor. Thank you.
perfect. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks, Matt. That was great. And actually, that was a great segue. We haven't shown the Swan and Snow wayfinding video, so this sounds like a great time to do it.
Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Mist. AI is in the air.
I've been in IT for over 30 years and hospitality for over 20. I'm always looking for the next big technology that's going to change our industry. For the last couple of years, I've been studying AI and location-based services to learn how they can help the hospitality industry deliver a better customer experience to both our leisure guests and our conference attendees. With Mist, we have found the right blend of AI and location-based services. It's not only going to improve the customer service, but lay the foundation of how we deliver services to our guests in the future.
With the location-enabled mobile app, conference guests are able to easily navigate the large meeting spaces across the Walt Disney World Swan and Dolphin Resort, getting to their next meeting or finding amenities such as the restrooms or business center. The Walt Disney World Swan and Dolphin Resort is bringing together the technology to enable rich experiences and venue analytics for conference organizers with virtualized Bluetooth low energy and machine learning. In addition to the location-based services, we plan to use Mist's AI-driven wireless LAN to deliver guest Wi-Fi access in high-density areas of the property, such as the lobby, simplifying IT tasks with its wireless service-level insights.
We are revolutionizing the IT landscape of the Walt Disney World Swan and Dolphin by adding a layer of functionality to our footprint in location-based services. We are going to leverage the machine learning capabilities and analytic components of Mist to gain real-time insight from our end-user community and be able to identify the root causes of connectivity issues to better serve our guests and attendees.
With Mist's AI-driven virtualized BLE location services, venues are able to boost the customer experience without requiring complex and costly battery beacons. The Walt Disney World Swan and Dolphin Resort is committed to expanding capabilities for its meeting customers and their guests. To learn more about how the Mist solution is helping customers like the Walt Disney World Swan and Dolphin Resort, please visit our website at mist.com or attend one of our live demos.
Okay. That was a good demonstration of something that was done there at Disneyland with location services. At this point, Charlie, I would like you to give you the chance to jump in and talk about Cloud Ingenuity if you got your audio figured out. Let us know.
Let me grab Charlie real quick. Just give me 10 seconds. Less than that. 1 second here.
Okay.
In the meantime, Sam, I'll launch that next poll.
Okay, perfect. What type of venue do you expect wayfinding can add the most value?
All right. Hey, Sam, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, so first of all, thank you guys for having us present today. And as Cloud Ingenuity, we are a solution provider that, as you saw, we've worked with several universities, big believers in Mist and the success that our customers have seen. And as Ron went through in his presentation, every conversation that we were having as getting engaged in these Wi-Fi projects, it always came back to location. It started as an easy one for campus and helping students navigate across a campus, right? That's a real easy one. And then, as Ron said, we're having conversations with healthcare, and they're wanting to know, can I tell where this particular doctor is if I need them in a hurry, or where this particular crash cart is, right? You hit on the one with ISDs. We're hearing that the active shooter approach, and then as well as due unfortunately to the pandemic, the request around contact tracing. And Mist does an amazing job of having this great data set that you can access, but it's the impact of that direct user. And that's where we're blessed to have somebody like Matt who's able to build leveraging the SDK, what he was showing you earlier. But it's been something that's driving a whole lot of conversations. We've been having a lot of interest from the Juniper and the Mist teams directly, and it's just a very hot topic. And I tend to find a new use case at every turn. So it's been exciting, and I think for those out there who are either in our shoes or who are consumers of it, it's something that's driving a lot of business value. And I think most importantly, if you're not leveraging and really modernizing and benefiting from what you can do with Wi-Fi and location, it just remains plumbing. And that's really where we've changed conversations. And now there's a lot of excitement around, well, wait a minute, I can tie this to the business. And we're hearing lots of conversations of, oh, well, now I think I want to look for doing a wireless office. That conversation has come up with us multiple times in the last few weeks. So it's an exciting time. At Cloud Ingenuity, we're focused on helping our customers not just modernize and add new technology, but take that to a next step and try to really address business issues at the same time.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Charlie. I'm glad we were able to hear what you had to say on Cloud Ingenuity and all the great things you're doing over there.
Thank you again. We appreciate everybody and the opportunity to have this conversation with y'all.
Okay, so let's go ahead and bring that poll back up and take a look. Oops, let's see. Interesting. So 31% schools, 31% hospitals, 15% malls and retail, 8% arenas and stadiums, and 15% office complexes. That's still a pretty good spread as far as potential interest. So I just wanted to just take a moment and again, just stop and ask, is there any questions any of this conversation has brought up that anybody wants to field with our panelists before we dive into this last part?
No questions yet, Sam, but I'll let you know if any pop up.
Okay, so again, as we said from the beginning, we really started this entire effort off around our COVID-19 response. And with that was the entire journey. And we really discovered that, leveraging the Mist, the Juniper Mist technology, health screening kiosks, some additional beacons and lanyards and BLE devices, and then of course Juniper Premium Analytics, we were really able to put together this modular solution to this whole COVID response. And today, again, we said we're not going to dwell on the COVID response aspect, but of course I did want to show you our safe office technology solutions. But then we can again expand into all of these other examples we've seen today. You know, the wayfinding applications that Cloud Ingenuity has shown us, things that were done there at the Disney Resort. And there's, you know, even there from that health care perspective, there's an example that the VA, they've created an application for basically the Uber service of wheelchairs, where, you know, so a veteran can get out and open up their application, order a wheelchair, and watch the wheelchair come to them, which saves a lot of frustration. And even Ron brought up the great comment around just not only asset control, but reduction in the needed assets. So, you know, if they can't, they can better allocate those resources rather than just buying more all the time. So I thought that was all, you know, really valid, and it all wraps right back around into that whole Internet of Behaviors conversation. Okay, go ahead and go to the next slide, please. So, and then the last thing, you know, we spent the entire hour talking about technology, which is of course what the majority of us are here for, but there's also the non-technology solutions, especially around the COVID-19 response. So I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about signage and placards and, you know, touchless hand cleaners and personal protective equipment. And another thing, even with, you know, I think it's really great with leveraging some of this wayfinding technology and this data, you can actually affect your physical layout as well. So we mostly applied this to, you know, congestion monitoring in particular zones, and maybe you can change the layout of panels or desks or things of this nature. But really, even lightly used areas, maybe they can be reallocated for other things. So this data is, again, what you can actually use to make these decisions. So that, I think that's pretty powerful. You know, and then finally, privacy data, HIPAA, regulatory compliance, all of these things need to be wrapped up. Earlier, somebody brought up the comment about, you know, how are you, or, you know, is this data yours or is this data not yours? And I was given that a little bit of thought. From a work context, I think a lot of that would be wrapped up into your employee handbook and kind of what you've agreed to and what the company has provided to you from a, you know, a privacy perspective once you enter a premise from a work perspective. And then, of course, again, I think the privacy data piece for a school, for example, if it's HIPAA data specifically, or if there's a particular regulatory compliance issue that can either be directed all the way from, you know, the feds, the CDC, all the way down to a state level, city level, et cetera. So all of these things need to be considered. And then go ahead into the next section. Next slide. And most importantly, I've said it a couple of times, the best thing about this technology is it's extremely modular. And I just love the fact that, you know, you can consume as much or as little as you want, depending on what you're trying to accomplish. Now, this slide here, good, better, best, is really focused on the whole COVID-19 response again. But again, good, you know, maybe you're at the front door, you're dealing with a temperature sensing kiosk with facial recognition. You can layer onto that with kiosks to get greater granularity or an ID card. And then again, for the very best result, we can add Juniper Premium Analytics. And then we're really getting all of these data streams that, you know, and analytics capabilities, which give us the most ability to deal with and handle this data. And then let's go ahead and go to the next slide. And then finally, just from a, you know, end-to-end perspective, we've throughout these sessions, we talk about a lot of things and we talk about a lot of requirements. And what we propose here is throughout this entire process, you're not alone. We want to be here for you. So if you have questions, you know, we need to start from evaluating the current state, identifying what a particular customer might need, what remaining requirements they have, and then actually creating a plan, which in this scenario, I'm calling a biosecurity program. We need to tie that to any regulatory compliance that they may be subject to. And then finally, we can design and implement a solution specific to that use case. And then at the very end, of course, provide support and monitoring and alerting. So just keep in mind that if you need help with any of these particular aspects, we want to be part of that conversation. So, keep that in mind as well. And then finally, go to the next one. So this has been session 6 of kind of this long ongoing conversation. And here's a couple of future sessions that we've got that we're looking at providing. But I'd also, again, like to ask everybody, if there's a particular topic around anything that you've heard from a Juniper Mist perspective, from the COVID-19 response perspective, or any of these other third-party applications or use cases like wayfinding, let us know. Go ahead and shoot us an email, let somebody know, and we'll take that on and we'll provide that information for you in a future FastTRAC session. Go ahead and go to the next slide. And here's my email address and Mitch's email address as well. And at this point, I'd just like to open it up for conversation, comments, questions. And then I think we did all our polls, yeah.
No questions yet. And yes, we launched all the polls.
Okay, at this point, I'd like to ask Brian to come back if he's available, Brian or Mitch, and take us home.
Hey guys, so thanks a lot, Sam. As you know, there's a lot to absorb here, and we're doing our best to give you the information we can. Obviously, this whole solution set is evolving, and I would suggest that, these sessions aren't real long. They're about an hour and a half. So I encourage you to sign up for future sessions as well. And we'll continue on this journey. As you know, there's a lot at play right now, just given the pandemic situation, and there's a lot of unanswered questions around how technology is going to help, in this situation. So we're keeping very informed about that, and we will share those as they come available to us as well. So anyway, so that's it. I'd like to thank Cloud Ingenuity. I'd like to thank Juniper Mist, all the speakers, and look forward to seeing you guys on the next FastTRAC. And thanks again. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.